What's going on, Reptile
What's-
people? How you doing?
How you doing?
It's that time of the week, every week, except for last week. It's the Reptile Hangouts podcast.
Every week except for last week, and
Yeah,
maybe
every single week except for the weeks we don't do it. So work it out. There's some math in there somewhere, but
yeah.
still glad to have you guys back for another week. And my TV's making noise. I'm sorry. Look at that.
Man,
Podcast. It's like we never did it before. So here we are, another week of Reptile Hangouts, and we're gonna do the usual here. So, Nick, what's the usual?
The thing that I usually say in the beginning, USARK.
yeah.
We always got to talk about USARK. So, United States Association of Reptile Keepers, as always, they are fighting for our rights to be able to keep these animals, and the fight is never been as important as it is right now. There's a piece of legislation out there called the America Competes Act, which in and of itself is not necessarily a bad thing, but there are some Lacey Act amendments buried right in the middle of the document on about 4 pages that would make our hobby essentially go away, or make it very possible for it to go away. So if you don't know about USARK, check out the link down in the description to usark.org. Read what they have to say about all of these alerts. They put out alerts all over the country for different pieces of legislation that are trying to take away our rights. And definitely become a member. We can easily say support USARK. Obviously, you can donate. But if you become a member, you give them a little bit of money, and you're automatically in the circle of protection when it comes to them fighting for these things. So check out USARK.
Definitely check out USARK. If you haven't heard about them, where you been? They're doing the stuff.
We say it every week, except for last week.
Except for last week, because we've been doing it this week.
Yep.
Definitely. So in the 2 weeks, yeah, that's right, math. In the 2 weeks, there's not been too much going on, as far as the reptile front goes. I'm still battling my drainage issue with my chameleons. One day I don't know, fabricate some stuff. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out one way or the other. The baby's getting ever older, and she's doing better and better every day, it seems like. So knock on wood if you can, because I can't. Not too many sleepless nights as of late, but I'm sure there's more to
Bro, you shouldn't have even said that out loud, my dude.
Who cares?
I mean, it's a rookie mistake, Gabe. I mean, we all did it,
Oh, man.
No, man, my wife, she gets so mad at me because every time I come in the room and the baby's quiet, I'm like, wow, I can't believe she's not screaming, because we've been battling colic, and she's like, why would you say that? She gets all mad at me and leaves. So,
hey, man.
it's a good time. Nick, why are you in a hotel room? Is that what that is?
Oh, yeah. You may notice that the background is different.
The
I'm in a hotel room. Yeah, there's no noise. There's no bird squawking. I don't have dogs. I don't have kids coming out of bedrooms behind me. It's actually kind of nice on the podcast this time. But yeah, I am in a hotel room. I'm up in Moundsville, West Virginia, which is about 20 miles south of Wheeling, about 3 hours from where I live, doing a reptile show this weekend. So it's a 2-day show, the Tri-State Exotic Animal Expo / Wonders Oddities Expo. He's added that now, so there's going to be a whole bunch of people in there with all kinds of weird stuff for sale as well. Big expo, should be really nice if you're anywhere within.
Star Trek stuff?
I don't know about that, but I also don't know if I'll be able to even report back on that, because I'm literally by myself, which means I have to hover over my table to prevent possible theft or anything like that. So yeah, I might not see much this weekend other than my customers' faces, which I love. So it should be good.
By the way, sorry, you just sparked something. Not to cut you off, but shut up. If you follow our friends over at LAC, of some unfortunate events this past weekend at Tinley. Theft isn't cool. Theft is bad. Okay, so don't do it. Continue.
It is bad.
Don't.
Yeah,
steal.
theft. Yeah, don't go anywhere and steal anything from anybody.
Especially this. We have a nice circle here. We have a nice.
Yeah, we have a. We're building a nice community in the reptile hobby, and we try not to steal from each other. If you want something from a reptile show, spend the money And if you don't have the money, then I guess you just don't get to have that thing that you want until you get the money. That's how I do it. So it works. Yeah, theft at Tinley was ridiculous, says Richard. So we've heard. We didn't get to go. We go in October. But yeah, we heard it was really bad.
Definitely. So, Gabe, what's going on, man? You prepping for the move?
Still, yeah, bro. Like prepping for the move. I know nothing looks like it's changed, but I mean,
well, that's just the animals. You probably have to do that last.
Yeah, exactly. But
if you're moving the animals now, I'd be worried.
Probably next week will be my last week in this house, probably on the podcast. So things should look a lot different in the next couple of weeks, if I can even like make the internet work great.
I know you're moving out into the boonies.
Yeah, enjoy the Comcast.
Yeah,
bro. Yeah, it's gonna suck.
There's no fiber optics out.
You know what's the crazy thing, man? It's like internet's like $150 to get it over there.
Yeah, because there ain't none of it left. There ain't none out there.
Exactly.
All that internet done dried up. You gotta go out California way.
All the internet done dried out. Yeah.
All righty. Well,
all right, Charles, let's do it. Let's bring them on.
Let's bring him on. And by him, we mean
Miss
the man himself.
Well,
wow.
them, actually.
Someone, the only.
And Nanette.
Hey.
Oh,
hello.
Guys. Say hello, Nanette. Hello.
Hi, Nanette.
How are you guys doing?
Very well.
We're good.
Yeah, we're doing wonderful.
Thanks for having me on. This is
thank you for agreeing to come back on. We missed having you. We'd like you to just be a weekly guest. Let's do that.
I'm honestly surprised that he decided to deal with us again.
Are you kidding? I want to find out more about Charles's fishing and your move and the baby, and there's just so much going on in your lives. It's crazy.
Yeah, man.
It's a crazy time.
For sure.
Definitely. So how you been lately? You had a good show here recently, didn't you?
We had a really good show. I love reptile shows. But Nick, if you're doing this show, you're on your own. That's crazy stuff. That's crazy talk.
I mean, lucky for me, my inventory is pretty small, so it's not hard to manage that part of it. But yeah, I'm doing it on my own. I got to get there wicked early tomorrow because the guy who puts on the show has me doing checks around the show for any native species. West Virginia is really like super against sales of anything native. They had some legislation passed within this last year or so. So I'm checking all the tables and stuff before I set up my own table, and then I can focus on the show for the rest of the day.
Bro, sounds
so
like
you have above and beyond even with that. So does the show have somebody stopping in to do some spot checks?
The last time we did this location, we had a couple of DNR officers show up. They were super cool. They walked around and looked around and stuff, and everything was good, which they almost always are, but it's better safe than sorry. He's, it's been built. This show's been building over the last several years, and we're really trying to turn it into something that's really reputable and that we can be proud of in the state. So,
how long has the show been going?
Ooh, I'd say probably about 6 years now. I started going, a while back. It used to just be in one little location. It was kind of a crappy building, and then he's really picked it up over the last few years, and we've got locations all over the state of West Virginia. So
nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I can't recommend to the average keeper, to somebody just beginning, to go to a reptile show, walk around again, take it all in, stop by tables, ask questions. If you find somebody, a vendor that wants to sell, keep moving on and find a vendor that will talk to you. There's no better way to learn in this hobby. I don't think. You can read all over the place, maybe except Facebook groups, but you can read all over the place. Great information, but go to a reptile show and talk to the breeders.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can learn a ton doing that. And I mean, I've had conversations with, there was a couple of younger kids that came a couple of shows ago, and they literally were just like, we want to ask you everything about how to care for and breed crested geckos. And I was like, all right, let's go step by step.
Yeah, man. That's what's about, man. It's like, that's something that I honestly wish that, was more out there, like mentors. When I was getting into reptiles, at first, I had a high school teacher that was kind of my mentor, and he was big into like big pythons and stuff like that. So like, that's I think what's cool about reptile shows. I know that you don't really have someone you can go to all the time, but to have someone that you can talk to that like breeds and cares for these animals on a day-to-day basis is pretty cool.
Yeah, the wealth of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But you start hooking up at reptile shows, and I say 3. Find 3 vendors. If you can find 3 vendors that you can chat about, and don't take all their time, you know. And Nick, you were more than courteous to talk through the whole care of a crested gecko. We do the same thing. You know, somebody will stop by and ask about the care of a leopard gecko, crested or picked up. And I'll sit there and talk, and I'll keep telling people I'll be with you in just a moment. Really, just a moment. And time flies, and it's fun. But you know, if you go to a reptile show, find that little niche of time where a vendor, you know, maybe is in between customers, and stop them and say, hey, do you mind if I ask you a question? And then what you need to do is, do you mind if I contact you on social media if I have more questions? And if they're hesitant, I'll say this over and over again. If they're hesitant and they're, hey, but really, what do you want to buy here? Just move on. But the good vendors will say, yeah, absolutely, contact me, because I as a vendor would rather talk to somebody and help them through the care of their animals, and then really have them go off and buy from somebody else if they don't find what's on my table, than to just willy-nilly kind of buy an animal and not ask the questions.
Yeah,
definitely.
For sure. Yeah, we talked about this the last time, how sometimes it can feel like a cash register exchange with certain customers. And it's like, in the back of your mind, like I play this game when that happens, I'm like, do I say anything? I mean, I ask them questions, you know, about like what they have already and stuff like that, and what they know already. I try to, and even if they're short with me, but then it's like, well, do I want to make the sale, or do I want to just be like, I don't got a good feeling, well, let's just not do this, like, you know. And I know some people who do that. I have yet to be able to pull the trigger on that. But so far, I think I've been good. Most people who bought from me, which is a pretty small number of people, to be fair, you know, have contacted me later and said like, "Oh, Gecko's doing good." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Yeah.
Perfect. Do you, Nick? Do you go from show to show? After you get done with a show, do you go kind of in your mind go through and say, "Okay, what can I do differently on that show? What can I change? What?"
Yeah, I'm constantly thinking about, you know, the way I'm interacting with people and stuff. I mean, I come from a retail background, so it's not hard for me to interact with pet retail, of all things, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's not hard for me to interact with customers. It's not hard for me to spout off like an entire carry sheet just from my brain, you know, numbers and everything. But I don't know. I wonder, like, are people getting a good vibe from me? You know what I mean? I always wonder that. Like, I'm hypercritical of that, because when my wife comes to the show with me and I'll like leave the table for a little while to go, you know, look at other stuff, it seems like she gets a bigger crowd than I do. And I don't know if that's just because she's better looking than me, but
maybe they're looking for a deal from your wife. Oh, she might not know the special price.
Yeah, she's probably she's that's the guy who knows all the stuff. Maybe if we ask her for, you know, $100 off, she'll give it to us.
Oh,
maybe a little pawn cards action going there with the person.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. So we've had this episode in the works for a little while now, Wally. I know I've talked to you and Nick's talked to you and everything, but here we are, underrated geckos. Have you prepared a list? Because I'm sure, knowing you, it's a long...
I didn't ask him. I didn't ask him to prepare one. I have a short list in my mind of things that we can definitely bring up.
I know you're the spreadsheet guy, Wally, but we got to ask Nanette. Did you make him prepare a list?
I did not. It probably hasn't been already.
I have no list, guys. I have nothing. I don't
think we need a list. So I didn't really get super into detail with you, Wally, in our talks. I know the first time you came on, you were our first guest. So we were like all making scripts and everything, you know, and we were like, let's send you a bunch of notes. We've devolved since then into just complete chaos, basically, where
I disagree 100%.
Just let it go.
So the first show was like, oh my gosh, where's all my index cards? Because they're going to ask me. And now this show, it's like, let's fly by the seat of our pants, because you guys are just so natural.
We're acquainted now. Yeah.
Yeah, man, we're just trying to have fun and get to know you. And
There you go.
Yeah, and we can definitely we're definitely going to talk some underrated geckos. I know there's some things that I've seen on your channel that have just blown me away and been super interesting, and they make me think, man, when am I going to get away from New Caledonia? You know, I mean, not away from it. I want to keep doing it, but I want to expand my reach.
Yeah, just expanding a little bit. It's hard because I'll go downstairs and I'll work on an area in the basement in our facility, and in my mind I'm kind of playing the what's next on YouTube, and I have certain ideas, and then I'll work on a gecko and I'll think, gosh, I've never ever shared a picture of that. I have a close friend, DEA Exotics, Andrew, that about 3 or 4 weeks ago asked me, what secrets do you have going on? And it's like, I really don't have secrets. It's just stuff that I haven't shared, and I just haven't gotten to some of this stuff. So, you know, with all the different species that are downstairs, I wish I could share more. I wish I could post more on social media and kind of get the word out there on some of these cool animals.
It takes a lot of time. Yeah, it takes a lot of time up to do that stuff. I just recently got a new gecko from a guy who's on the bottom corner of the screen down there. Yeah, we were over there visiting, and he's got, look at this baby. We have to stop and look at the baby.
She's so cute, man.
She's precious, yeah.
And again, congratulations.
What's her name?
The wife's just getting home, and so I got my mic muted, and unfortunately I'm going to have to eat a little bit because I still haven't eaten, but feel free to continue the conversation. I'll
do it.
Mute.
You wouldn't be the first person to eat on the podcast. We had Tiki's Geckos on. They had a pizza while they were talking.
There you go. If I do have a spare few cents of information to add, I will unmute myself.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right.
Sounds good. Yes, priorities for sure. But yeah, I got a new gecko from Gabe, and I'm obsessed with this gecko. It's amazing. It's a gargoyle, and we don't know much about it, but it's amazing. And I'm just sort of waiting for it to come out of shed, and so I can fire it up and take pictures and try to make it social media famous.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just taking time. Right. And clearly, I'm not home now. So,
how old is it?
Yeah, how old is it, Gabe? Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
He's about two. He's two and a half now. He should be 2.5. Yep.
Yeah. He's definitely breeding ready, and the female that I want to breed him to, I'm just blown away by her. Like, I didn't think she was ready, and then she laid those parthenogenic eggs the other day, which was just crazy. And they were huge, and she's not that big, and they were just massive. And she didn't seem to be any worse for wear. So. I'm not going to breed her. I'm not going to breed her this year because I want her to put some more size on. But I'm just surprised that she started laying eggs so fast.
How big is she?
If I had to get, I haven't weighed her in a while, but I would say she's probably only like in the mid to upper 40s grams wise. Yeah. And I don't know how. Yeah, she's not big. I wouldn't breed her, and I haven't. But she laid a self-fertilized clutch, and the eggs were just massive.
I will say, I mean, I've noticed some gargoyles just tend to be small. I don't know. At least some that I've
I mean, everybody's an individual. I get that. Like, I mean, I just want her to have some more size to her before, and I'm hoping she's not just like a weird runt or something, and then I never get to breed her because she's so beautiful. But if she doesn't, then I guess I'll just keep her because I love her.
Maybe play around with her for the next 3 or 4 months and see if she gains some weight, and you know, at that time, see if
she was eating really good. She was eating constantly, and then all of a sudden she kind of slowed down. So I suspected maybe she was producing her first infertile clutch. I was just surprised that not only were they self-fertilized, but they were just so much bigger than I expected them to be. I know that gargoyles lay a little bit bigger eggs. That's in my experience, but for her size, they were huge. Anyway.
It's funny sometimes we're talking about the diversity of these geckos and the differences, and working with some of the tiny geckos that I work with, and to see some of the huge eggs, some of the Periodora, you know, you work with an animal that's no longer than your pinky, and here they're producing, you know, these pea-size eggs, and you wonder, oh my gosh, these females.
How did they come out?
Yeah, how did they get that out? Yeah.
How did that happen, nature?
Well, speaking of Periodora, I think that's probably a great place to start because I don't know, don't let me put words in your mouth, but it feels like you definitely have a special place in your heart for the Periodora genus. You talk about them a lot.
I do.
You've made me fall in love with them, and I haven't even ever seen one in person. So,
going back, I started keeping leopard geckos, and I got into crested very shortly after that. And it started to branch out. I wanted to learn more about the hobby. I think the Periodoras were the very next genus that I started working with. And I've probably kept 8 or 9 different species of Periodora. And there's, I don't even know anymore, 20, 22, 23 different species, with the king of Periodora being the Misobi, the big dark black with the white spangles, the big eyes. Very, very cool animal. But there's so many little teeny tiny Periodoras as well. It's fascinating to see the diversity in the group, from little tiny leaf dwellers like Antiliansis. When they're feeding, their tails go up and they wiggle around, to the bastardi, which have just amazing babies, Iberiensis, and just the list goes on and on. Stumphi and Gracillus. But probably my favorite in the whole group right now is the Periodora picta. Periodora pictas only get about 3.5, maybe 4 inches in length. Very easy to take care of. And people ask me, what kind of substrate should I put? Sand in the enclosure? Should I put jungle mix, some kind of a peat moss, some kind of a tropical? And I say, they come from an area that's right on the border, so they adjust very well to a more arid enclosure or a more tropical enclosure. It's kind of up to how you want to keep them. So easy to take care of, a little bit of heat, have a hot spot like you would a leopard gecko of about 90 degrees, 92, 94 degrees, and about 20% of the enclosure. Give them live foods. A small enclosure is all you need. 10 gallon is just, Park Avenue to these little animals. Lots of cork bark because they like to jump up. Anytime I walk through the facility and I come back to look at the Periodora, they're all out in front. They're all up on top of something, looking around, looking to see if I'm going to feed. Very curious. They're little prairie dogs of the gecko world. So
that's cool. Yeah.
Lots of good reasons to keep these geckos. And for me, it's fun because I can take them to reptile shows. And unlike a leopard gecko that gets a little bit, for a little kid, somebody walking up and they just want to hold a gecko. So a crested gecko is going to jump all over the place, and it's fun for me to hold it and jump. Leopard geckos are a little bit big and sometimes a little scary for younger kids, but I can take a Periodora out and they're only, like 2.5 inches. I can put that Periodora on a little kid's hand and just, the eyes just light up. So that's another reason why I love this species, this genus and the species. But then for me as a breeder, all of the different color variations, from snows to, I've seen black Periodora picta. I'm working on a red line, the full white stripe. I've seen just all kinds of different colors and shades and patterns, and tri lines and T+ albinos. And so it's always a challenge from a breeding standpoint to come up with that new and different, more for trait or something different with these animals. So a lot of good reasons Periodora picked up.
Hey, bro, it sounds kind of like cheese on it.
It sounds kind of like maybe I mean, you mentioned a few, but I know that picta have been around, obviously, in the hobby for a while. I just never really heard of them for the longest time, personally. But it sounds like maybe they're just sort of in their infancy as far as the genetic combinations are going. So you guys could probably really just build on it. I mean, I don't know if it's ever going to become a leopard gecko thing or a ball python type thing, but
I really don't think so. Like you're saying, Nick, they've been around forever. But the thing is that you'll go to a reptile show and you'll see somebody have Periodora picked on their table. Unless they're a breeder, unless they've been in the hobby for a while, that Periodora picta is probably coming from the wild. So we have, some issues there. Somebody mentioned Waffles. So Periodora picta.
That's Frank.
Yeah, I get the squirrel mentality. I see something shiny and I'm off running.
I think Frank did that on purpose. I think he was like, let's get Wally with the waffles.
Yeah, see, the waffle crew.
Speaking of actual waffles, I'm so excited. I just got the Millennium Falcon waffle iron.
You actually got
I
that?
know, bro. That's
Oh,
huge.
Yep, gonna eat some Millennium Falcon waffles.
nice.
You'll use that, Charles, and eventually you'll come to the point where you grow and mature, and you'll get the Enterprise waffle iron.
You listening? You hear this? Yeah, you need an Enterprise waffle maker.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I swear I'll do it. I'll do it.
So 503 Menagerie says she's definitely, or they're definitely wanting to do Periodora Picta, myself included in that, but they got a 1-to-1 Spirodactylus Elegance. So I know that Spirodactylus are little dwarf geckos, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I'm not familiar with that one.
I'm sorry, Nick, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say I'm not 100% familiar with that species, but yeah.
The whole God, we've talked about cheese, waffles, and it looks like Charles is eating pizza. Can you go make
It's
me
not pizza.
Can you grab me
It's a
something?
Taco
It,
Bell.
it's a,
Is that
it's
a
a
taco?
crunch wrap.
Tell
Crunch
Frank.
It's not a taco. It's a crunch wrap, but it is
Yeah,
taco.
it's from Taco Bell.
Yeah.
I'm moving on April 1st. That's what
I'm so hungry.
Your pizza we already ate.
Oh, I forgot. That was like a half hour ago. Okay, so
Feel free. I mean, everybody wants to grab a snack. Let's do it. Let's make it a real hangout. Yeah.
I'm on a liquid diet, okay?
Yeah, the Modelo.
I'm easily, distracted. So this
All
is
good.
like a 4-hour show. So Spirodactylus is in that micro gecko kind of realm with Gonatoides, Lygodactylus. Lygodactylus, everybody knows the electric blue Lygodactylus, Williams eye, Gonatoides, some wonderful, wonderful animals. They're all just, a couple inches long, lots of different colors and everything. Spirodactylus are mostly ground dwellers. They'll kind of climb on things, but the others are more of an arboreal gecko. So anyways, Spirodactylus are really cool because they have all kinds of different colors and shapes and sizes, and Elegans, one of the smaller ones. We're talking about, again, we're talking about maybe an 1.5-inch animal.
Wow.
Super cool. And I had my phase of going through micro geckos where I had probably a couple dozen different genus species. The thing with micro geckos is that you have to feed, because they're so small, their metabolism just, off the charts. So you feed, and by the time you finish feeding one of them, you have to circle back and start feeding all over again. You have to feed them every single day, and you have to have enclosures that have no way at all for them to get out.
That's what I was about to ask.
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of
something like that in.
You have to have enclosures that you have tight fitting tops that you can pull off and make sure that they're not close to the top. You just have to be really, really special, pay special attention to them. You have to have front opening, but larger. So you have this little teeny tiny gecko. You think, well, I can keep it in a 3 cube or, a 5-gallon tank or something like that. But you have to have enough room where you can open the enclosure, and they're far enough away that you have at least an opportunity, if they start running forward and kind of freak out,
to close the door.
To close the door. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sure if they get out,
Gotcha.
it's screwed, huh?
Yeah, I had a Lygodactylus Kim Howley. I just did the video on Kim Howley getting.
Yes,
Kim
I was
Howley
going to say
again.
that.
And I remember one time I don't know what I'm thinking sometimes, but I had a 10-gallon with a screen top.
Look at Nanette looking at you. She's giving you that look. Like, I know what you're thinking.
It's like everyday occurrence. 10-gallon tank, screen top, and I remember having a branch coming, from back to up to front, and the Kim Howley was in the back, and I opened it to throw in some fruit flies and to move a dish or something, and I could just see the look in its eye, and it's like, okay, it's going to go, but I can get this dish in, and boom, it's up the branch, onto my arm, off my arm, on the floor, under the furnace. That quick. One.
Oh, that was bad. Oh.
Yeah, I know that stress. I got a couple of geckos a couple of years ago from Pangea, and like a week into having them, one of them jumped off of my shoulder onto the kitchen floor and went under my refrigerator.
Oh.
And I was just pretty sure that was the end of that. Like, I mean, I got to move the fridge to try to get them out. So as soon as I move the fridge, I'm probably just scraping Gecko across the floor. Like, that's all I can think, Like, I was on the verge of like tears. I was like crying. I was like, this is just making me so mad. And he managed to get himself like up off of the floor, but like under like a metal rim under the fridge. So once I got it pulled out, there goes Gabe's lights. So once I got it pulled So once I got it pulled out, I got him out, luckily. But yeah, it's crazy. That's a stressful feeling.
See, that's why I'm glad that I don't have those problems. All my stuff is big enough that
This was an adult gecko.
No, Gabe. Hey, you watch your mouth. What didn't your damn Asian water monitor go like through your vent system and behind all your racks and shit a month ago? Yeah.
No, this is a lot.
I don't have that problem.
He didn't want to share that story on
That was when he was young. That was
when he was young, son. That was in January.
Yeah. You know how fast a water monitor grows? You need to come over here and see how big this sucker is, bro.
It's pretty big. I just saw him like a week ago.
I'm just saying you have those problems. If Brian Barczyk can have those problems with a 20-foot whatever retic, you can have those problems. That's all I'm saying.
That's listening to the story, and she just said, "I'm out of here."
Yeah, if there's a water monitor living in your air vent system. Yeah.
Dude, okay, so he didn't actually get in the vent. It was terrifying, though. Like, I let him out to walk around in the bedroom, and I'm like, okay, well, he'll do his thing. I'm not worried about it. And, well, about an hour later, I start looking for him because I ain't seen him, and I look under the tank, and the AC vent is lifted up like this much. So, like, automatically, what are you going to think?
That's what happens when you bring a pet raptor into your house. They can figure out how to get into anything.
So we jumped under the house and we tore everything up and we couldn't find this lizard. Ended up, he got pinned himself between this rack of cages against the wall, but right in the corner. So you couldn't see him from either side.
Was there a reason why he found that space? Was it warmer? Was it darker?
Yeah, that's the hot side of these racks right here.
Okay.
So that's basically what happened. It was terrifying.
So you want to tell them about our gecko?
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
The one that's
She's like, oh yeah, that narrows it down to
the one that we're feeding.
Yeah, the one that comes out on the top of the tank for food when you walk down into the room. And it just scoots out enough to let us know and thumps its head on the top of the tank. I'm here. You can feed me.
And what species is this?
It's a Chondrodactylus. So it's a little African sand-dwelling gecko. So about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months now, we were preparing for a show. These guys are pretty quick. They're manageable. You can see when they're going to jump and react and run. But this one came up. I was trying to catch it. It came out of the cup, down, across my arm, and it hit the floor. We're getting ready for a show. I don't have time for this. I'll get it later. It'll show up on a wall somewhere. I'll find it later. Get stuff for the show. Let's go. So sure enough,
she's shaking her head. She's like, that wasn't my thought at all. I was like, let's get it now.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know it was out.
You blame me for not telling you? So now it's 2 weeks later, and I'm walking through the. You know what? When you fish, Charles, when you fish, you can.
Charles, when you fish,
look at that. You can see something out of the corner of your eye, and it just stops everything. And it's a little tiny ripple in the. So I'm passing a set of tanks, a bank of tanks, and walk past them and stop. It's like something's different. So I backed up, and sure enough, from a light, a hood of a light, is this little nose sticking out, watching me. So there it is. So for the last month or so, we've just been throwing mealworms at the tank on top of the screen. And it'll come out and it'll eat and it'll run back into the hood of the light. And it's our little mascot now.
So he's just living there, living the life.
By the way, Nick, you heard him right. I told you.
I know.
I know. Very intelligent. He knows that what you do is not fishing. Certainly he ain't catching.
Automatically goes straight to. He's like, fishing? Definitely, CJ. Not these other guys.
Yeah.
You would be right if you were thinking about Gabe down here. I can't point on camera.
Bro, come on, man. Expert level over here, man. I'm going to be in the next Bass Pro Classics. Okay,
It's all good. Yeah, I commented on one of your bass pictures on Instagram the other day, Wally, and I am ashamed to say that up until the other day, I didn't even follow you on Instagram. I don't know what the heck. I don't know how it happened, but I was like, let me look on Instagram for some pictures. Oh, wait a minute, I'm not even following Wally on Instagram.
Yeah,
How is this possible?
That's why he doesn't include you in the fishing conversation, Nick, because you don't even follow him on Instagram.
Yeah, I would talk directly with fishing with you, but yeah, since you don't follow me, I'm. So Charles, let's talk. Let's talk fishing. So Nick, how do you how does anyone follow everybody and keep? So at shows, every show that I do, somebody will always walk up and say, "Hey, you're Wally. I watch your YouTube channel, and I'm the one that said that I'm keeping the crested gecko and it wasn't eating."
Yeah.
I'm Dave.
Like there's not,
and it's like, okay, go through the list, and you're trying to narrow this down as quick as possible. Then they'll say, I'm that gecko guy 53 on 503 Menagerie. I didn't know that was Heather until Heather a couple of weeks ago. So trying to make all those connections on social media to everybody. I don't know how anybody does that anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, somehow I just wasn't following you on Instagram. All the other platforms, but now I am. So got one more follower on Instagram.
I'll unfollow you for a while so that it
sounds good. Yeah, it's got to balance out. Yeah. The universe must stay in balance. So unfollow. Oh man, but yeah, I wanted to say that while we were on the subject of the micro geckos like Spirodactylus and Gonatodes, those things are wicked cool. I was fortunate enough to find a Gonatodes Antiliansis in the wild, and it blew my freaking mind. Like we were flipping trash on Bon Air, and I saw it, and I was like, "That's a crazy gecko. We'll catch that gecko! Like, don't let it go! Like, we have to take pictures of it." And I didn't know what it was till I looked it up. But yeah, it just blew my mind. It was a male, and the males are way prettier than the females, and it was really cool. Yeah.
Their behavior, I don't think, is like anything else in the reptile community. The only thing I guess I could relate it to is maybe the Phelsuma clemeri, the little jewel day geckos, which kind of dance from one corner of the tank to the next corner of the tank, back and forth. These Gonatodes will do the same exact thing. They'll sit on the spot and then just run all of a sudden to another part of the tank. They're and they'll
earthquake, Charles?
What's that?
I asked him if he was having an earthquake.
My computer's on me, so when I was shaking my Fiesta potato, I shook the entire computer.
I'm sorry, Wally.
Yes,
I guess I'm ADD too.
and you're the one to put me on that too. The Fiesta potatoes are.
It's the only way to go. If you don't eat Fiesta potatoes, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
True.
Can you get me what is it? A festive potato?
Fiesta potatoes.
If you can't say it, you can't have it.
You can't say it, you can't have it. She says. I love it. Oh man, that's great.
So those are all really super cool animals, but they do have the requirements, tight, lots of food, misting. You have to kind of watch them all the time, and they're babies. So you have to find the smallest food that you can find for the adults. But once you have babies, it's like negative numbers of sizes for the babies. The baby food has to be so small.
What do you feed? Like Springtails at that point?
Yeah, we had the same question.
Yeah.
Well, even for some of them, Elegance is a good example. The smaller fruit flies are actually too big for them. So you have to find something smaller than that.
So like Springtails.
Okay.
Springtails is a great option.
Okay. Yeah.
That sounds like a pain in the butt. Honestly.
It is.
Well, I don't know. If you've watched any of Wally's videos, the man probably has more Springtails within his gecko collection than exist in the outside world, I would guess. Because Because if you flip a piece of cork bark in one of your isopod videos, there's like 8 million springtails and like 30 isopods. You're like, look at these beautiful ice pods, and they're covered in springtails. They're like, ah.
It's funny because
You're very good at keeping springtails going. I'm not so good at
it. I think it's just how I set up the isopod enclosures. We'll do a big shipment of isopods, and we'll have 20 orders of springtails. I only have a couple of containers of springtails really going, so I'll run out of those pretty quick. They're set up specifically to harvest springtails for our orders. Then I start going off onto the other isopod containers, pulling springtails from there. But we never run out.
No, I would say not.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm crashing right now, and my little tiny 6-quart springtail colony seems to be going downhill. But to be fair, I don't use it a lot for stuff. I only have a handful of bioactive things, but yeah. Oh, I got some really cool isopods
I'm gonna
now.
tell you this, man.
From a guy, I'm not sure, I can't remember. I think it's like Supreme Gecko or something. Yeah, I got some bioactive cleanup crew isopods,
asshole.
as well as some really cool Armadillidium Bulgari punticanas. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they're cool.
That's Nanette's favorite.
Those are them.
They are. Yeah, I gotta say they're really cool. Yeah, they're really neat. I'm hoping I can get them to make babies for me. Maybe
they're probably down there right now.
They probably are. Yeah, I mean, I've had the species before, and they've been pretty prolific, but I've never had the Punta Cana color.
I'll tell you
really
what,
cool.
man.
Yeah.
I went in my dubia roach bin. I know this is different, but I went in my dubia roach bin, okay? And all my dubia roaches finally had babies. I never thought that I'd be so freaking happy
to have a bunch of baby roaches.
I have roaches popping out babies in my house. Man, like, it's been so hard to get the dubias going. I don't get it.
So 503 says this, and this I find interesting because this is how I'm keeping my springtails separate from, everything, is on charcoal. So that's interesting. That's when you look up like how to keep springtails on their own, that's what almost everybody seems to say is charcoal. And it seems like it's kind of like a mediocre way to keep them, which is
it is. And I don't know if you want me to get into it or not, but I can just say in like 2 sentences here. Everybody used to keep them on charcoal, and there's some great videos out there. And then the progression was, I'm keeping isopods and just do the same thing that you're doing for the springtails that you do for isopods. Have a moist area, a piece of cork bark or something, and feed it, flake food or something. Feed them flake food. The next progression is this clay-based, calcium-filled component, and you smear it on the sides of like a big deli cup.
Is that stuff you're talking about, Wally? Is it like it looks like brown mud.
It's exactly that.
Okay, I've always wondered what that was whenever I get cultures. I'm like, I don't know how to get springtails out of it. I just put the whole damn thing in my setup and let them evacuate.
Springtails they're hydrophobic naturally, so you can usually pour water in there, like a dechlorinated water, and they'll float up, and you can just dump them.
Yep, exactly. And that clay should be soft. It shouldn't be like runny, and it certainly shouldn't be hard. But if it's kind of a softer clay, like these clay setups are supposed to be, they'll burrow into the clay. They'll eat the clay compound as well as you have to feed them, but they'll live in there for months and months and months and months and months.
Wow. Well, I'm learning stuff because I definitely want to. My springtail culture was doing really well, and it was doing well enough that I actually made a couple of small cultures and brought them to a show and sold them off. But now it's not doing so hot, so definitely have to look into that.
We have a ready crowd of customers for every show buying dwarf whites and springtails. We usually bring, I don't know how many cultures a minute. We usually bring 10 of each, and we sell out this last show within first hour or two.
Within the first hour of the show. Yeah, it's not surprising.
Yep.
Yeah. Bioactive is the way now.
Yep.
So
I've never put a springtail in any of my cages, and I got them everywhere.
The fun part is pop up. Yeah, the fun part is that they're a great cleanup crew, depending on the isopod. But the cool thing is that one of my enclosures, I used Hoffman Sega, which are the really big ones, almost as big as your pinky.
King
And
of isopods?
yeah, of isopods. And now they're breeding. They're not really a cleanup crew per se. They clean up, but not like some of the others. And now they're breeding. So it's fun to see this bioactive setup that has isopods that are kind of a higher end isopod, and they're taking off in this setup. So that's a lot of fun.
That is cool. That probably says a lot about how healthy the environment is too in there.
Well, I
I
take
would
it
think
just
so.
the opposite, how dirty the environment is, so that they have plenty.
Well, okay. Healthy, dirty, they can be synonymous sometimes.
Yeah.
Outdoors is not necessarily clean.
Clean, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
Look, Frank says the king of isopods.
The king of isopods, yes,
Yeah, Hoffman Sega.
The king of isopods.
that's what Wally says.
This week.
Wearing his Chicago Blackhawks crown.
This is I'm
Brand new.
I'm trying to get used to it, Charles. This is brand new. I don't know if I have it,
Oh, are you breaking
I have
it?
it.
Yeah.
Bent enough. It kind of seems like it's back or not backwards, but just off.
You gotta wear it to the side.
You gotta turn it to the side.
That's
There
you.
you go. That's it. Yeah.
Let's go.
There you go.
Let's go. Yo, what's
I love
up?
it. I love it.
What's up?
See you later.
What's up? It's your boy Wally,
Stop.
Supreme Gecko.
Surprise, baby.
What?
Oh,
We got the best geckos.
This
Noise,
is what's in
noise.
now.
he does, man. He's got some pretty,
It is.
pretty
This is-
awesome stuff.
Man, I'm
Yeah,
bringing
so-
it now.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. That's it. Now you got your cred.
That's a good thing to share on social media.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to ruin your reputation, come on the Reptile Hangouts podcast.
I ruined mine on my own channel, every single video. So
No, you'd be all right. We love it. So I gotta ask, gotta get Nanette involved a little bit here. I just want to know what's your favorite gecko that you guys have? Do you have a favorite?
Periodora Pictus. The
Pictus too?
That's my favorite. I like the personality, and they're just fun. Crested would be number 2.
It sounds like they are. Crested number 2.
we planned this. So here's your $5. And then hold on, because Periodora Pictus are my favorite. So here you go.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Is that an IOU?
What is that, Monopoly
If
money?
you know,
Yeah, that's more of a to-do.
oh man.
That's funny.
Oh, that's
I tell you what.
That's
What
great.
is it? Let's ask her. What is it like dealing with a gentleman that I don't even know what I'm trying to say, with someone with a
Tread lightly. Be careful.
Yeah,
This is why I work full time. No.
man. Because I know that I got a reptile addiction, and my woman, it ain't very easy to deal with.
Also has a reptile
So,
addiction. So
You said what?
She
No,
also
I'm
has a
just
reptile
saying,
addiction.
man, how, in her point of view, I'm just curious. What's it like for you
Okay.
dealing with?
It's
all of
different.
it.
It's different because at the beginning, when we first were married, it was fish, and we had a basement full of fish and a fish business going for several years, and then we had kids, and eventually got out of that for a while. And
The kids?
no, the kids you can't get rid of. Don't do that. Charles just
Yes, you
had
can.
one. Charles just had one. Don't make it sound so bad.
You can distance a little bit. You can push the distance. Yeah.
Charles, it's bad. It's rough.
Especially girls. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Well,
it was.
Here we are.
I knew when he got into it, when he said he was just getting pets, that it wasn't going to be just pets. So there are days that when he's like, oh, I'm going to try this. And like the isopods, when the isopods came up, I thought he was absolutely insane.
Oh, hey, man, you prove you wrong now.
Nobody is going to buy a bug. And why? And it's probably the easiest thing to take care of in the reptile room. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
And they're
you know what?
insanely popular.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. I've learned a lot. I don't know, it's fine. I don't mind helping, and I enjoy it. Some things I just don't touch, and there's just certain things we will never keep in our home.
Hey,
Well, that's good, Wally. I mean, you're a lucky man, as we all are, really, because we all have support systems, that are willing to help. I leave town for some reason. My wife isn't with me. She takes care of the geckos, so works out very nice.
my wife takes care of the geckos. Well, no matter what.
Well, yeah, that's her project.
I am truly blessed. There's so many aspects of what we're doing here, and that helps with everything. But she's taken over shipments. She does all the shipping, customer relationships on that side of things, any customer support. She takes care of the bug room. There's so many things that she's responsible for. And then yet, I say that, but on a feeding, we'll go down and we'll feed the leopard room, and we're down there for an hour, going back and forth. And I've fed and cleaned like 5 tanks, and she's done the whole rest of the room. It's funny. It really is. So Gabe, you're going to love this. So if we say, okay, if I say I'm going to go feed the isopods, 3.5 hours later, I come back upstairs. Okay, I'm done feeding the isopods. If Nanette goes to feed the isopods, 45 minutes.
Yeah, because she's not having individual conversations with each species.
And I'm not nitpicking, and I'm not checking. I'm feeding and I'm walking out. That's all I'm doing is I'm getting it in the container and I'm gone.
Yeah, see, I get it. I get it.
I get it too. Yeah,
3 hours too, because I'd be playing with everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm moving and I'm separating and I'm putting in more sphagnum moss and I'm doing this. Oh, they eat leaves. And
I do add that stuff.
Yeah. When I'm doing baby gecko tubs, man, like when I'm doing baby cresteds, like I could throw 2 or 3 crickets in the tub and put some new food in and close it and then keep going. But I like to individually feed all of my geckos. I don't have that many, so it's easy right now. If I ever get to the point where I have 100 of them or something at a time, then it won't probably be that way. But right now I've got 15 or 20 babies at a time, and I'm just like, here, take a cricket, do it. Yep.
Do that, bro.
That's what I do. You got less babies than me. You could do that. You got time.
Me? Yes, absolutely could, but I'm not.
Yeah, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to toss them some bugs.
I just put a couple in there. That's it.
I don't know. I can't help it. I know it's probably not good for
Wally
my time,
talked
but
to mealworms so much on some of his videos that I've seen, and I sat there and tried to feed my baby cresteds some mealworms. I just can't get them to do it, man.
Really?
It might just be used to the crickets. I'm wondering about that too, because I picked up some super small ones the other day, and I haven't offered them to them yet. But I'm gonna try when I get back home. I'm gonna whatever I have left with me, when I get back home, I'm gonna put a couple of them in a little cup for them and see if they'll take them.
Bro, I had
most of mine
chocolate and eat them myself.
They like bugs, but I haven't tried mealworms on the babies. I've usually only done crickets or really small dubias if I can get my hands on them.
I think it's super easy. We'll go a month, 3 weeks ish with the crested gecko diet. So we're feeding the Pangea religiously to the babies for 3 weeks to a month. And then at that time, I start feeding the mealworms. And around that time also, I usually start off with the 2 babies in the same tub.
Yeah.
It's easier that way. They're small. But at about a month or so, I'm starting to pull those 2 babies out and separating them. And at that time, I start feeding mealworms. I don't like to feed mealworms when the 2 babies are together because I've seen time and time again, where I'm going with this. You throw in mealworms and, well, that over there, that's a tail, but it looks like a mealworm. And grab. So separate them out, feed the mealworms. And I feed mealworms way before I feed crickets. I really don't even feed crickets until they're maybe 2.5, 3 months old. I just feel like a small cricket for a small crested gecko is a lot of energy expelled. It's a great food, don't get me wrong, but mealworms and then dubias right after that are just so much easier. Dubia will walk right in front of them and they pound them. And the mealworms, wiggling I've never ever had a baby crested not take a mealworm. Ever.
Really? That's
Ever.
odd, man. I even warmed them up so they would wiggle and do their thing. And they just look at them like, what?
They were like, nah.
Is that?
Well, that's because, Gabe, you're feeding them too much other stuff. They're like me. They're fat and they're just sitting there like, yeah, I don't need to eat that. He'll feed me that other stuff.
He'll give me that other thing.
Okay, that's probably true.
Yeah. And then you've got mine that are like, I'm not chasing that bug. Like, I know you're just going to put it right in front of my face.
Yeah, you got them spoiled, bro.
I know they are. They're spoiled rotten. So yeah, let's let me think about what I got on my thumbnail anyway. Let's go from there. I got some stuff on my thumbnail. So is it a scorpion tail gecko that I put up in the corner there?
Scorpion tail gecko. It's the Carteri.
Yeah. Carteri, that's right. Yeah, I remember Frank talked about those because he found those in the wild. Frank Calachico, who we had on the last time, which was awesome.
Nick,
So, yeah.
If we hop over to this, not that. Yeah, this one. Shit. One of the formats. Is there any way you could maybe just pull up some Google images or something and
Yeah, I can open another tab here.
Yeah,
and
that way
when I do that,
a visual.
yeah, when I
a little bit of a visual.
do that, we can do that. Yeah, so just
Nick,
let's start.
That, I can talk through, the Carteri's behavior.
Yeah, let's do that. They're really cool. I'd like to hear more about them.
I'm filming Gabe right now.
Recliner in his reptile room.
Gabe, yes, he does. I want a recliner.
Yeah, he's sitting in a recliner. Yeah,
You don't
right.
have room in your reptile room.
He's
have a recliner.
He's living large.
You never leave the room.
I would never. If I could have a refrigerator down there for soda and snacks, and somewhere like if I could make a recliner like a porta potty thing, I'd be done. It'd be a game over. So anyway,
what's the genus on the Carteri?
Thank you for changing the
shoot, PRI something. Gosh darn it, Pristina. I'm blanking out.
Let's just try scorpion tail.
Actually,
yes.
I do really like the PIR somethings. They're one of my favorite, actually.
Pristurus carteri is what it is.
There you go. Thank you. So the cool thing about these animals is that I used to keep them in a 15-gallon. Then I moved it down to a 10-gallon. I talked to Joe Hupp, who's, if you've ever had the chance to talk to Joe
Hupp, we want to. I want to. I know that's
him
on the list.
That will be a 16-hour live stream because we are blessed with so much information. I just kind of I just skim the surface of some of this stuff. Anyways, I moved them from a 10-gallon into a 5-gallon. A couple of rocks, and they're like, 4 inches away from, 1,000-watt. Well, it's not 1,000 watt. Maybe it's 50. They're just in blazing heat right there, and they just sit there and just love it.
They just love it.
UVB, huge heat spot. They're small. They're only about 3 inches, 3.5 inches. And what's really cool about these guys is a lot of the geckos that I keep, I walk down, I feed, and eventually all the geckos are out and eating. Most of the geckos are out and eating. Some just never come out. These guys are out all the time. They're a day gecko without being a day gecko. They're out and about and looking around, and they're very, very curious. And their behavior is, I think, one of the best behaviors in the gecko world, in that, they're not leopard geckos that kind of meander around. I mean, they're out and they're looking around and they're curious. Very similar to pickup, but even more so. So small foods, lots of heat, sand, water dish. I have some hides in there. I don't think they ever visit their hides. They're always sitting right on top of the rocks, basking in the 1,000-degree bulb that I have in there. People don't put 1,000-degree bulb in your.
No,
don't bake your Carteri.
No, I
build it around.
Definitely not in a 5-gallon.
Very distinctive. They're called scorpions because their tails, curl.
I may disappear, just so you guys know. Don't mind that if it happens.
Oh, well, it just did happen.
It
They're
happened.
definitely very odd-looking little geckos.
Well, now that guy's gone,
Let's talk hockey.
no, I can't talk hockey.
Okay.
I can't. My team is not much of a team. It would hurt my heart to talk about it.
Damn, bro, you can't talk about it like
The whole
bad.
let's pull up pictures thing, of course, had to be ultra complicated because for some reason Google lost permission to do screen recording. So I think I fixed it.
Oh my.
Yeah. Even though I've done it before.
Well,
Let's see if we can look at a carter eye. I got some neat pictures pulled up here. So let's try to look at one.
Their body markings are really cool. They're a grayish animal, but they have these red lines throughout their bodies. Very distinctive head shape, kind of a shovel mouth kind of look to them. And again, their tails are curled up, and they're always displaying. I actually have a male right next to a female. I haven't introduced them yet because the female's still a little bit young. But my plan is to introduce the female and leave her in for a couple of days and pull her out. I just don't want the male to be over aggressive. 1 egg at a time, not 2. And they reproduce and lay eggs consistently. There you go. Isn't that the coolest thing?
They're really cool.
I love the like the feet to like the leg to body like.
They look like they have long legs for small geckos.
I know.
So I might talk about Periodora picta, and somebody will get one from a show, and they'll bring it home and they go, I don't see the huge attraction to this. I personally, again, I love them because working with the different colors and everything. But, the carter eye, the scorpion tails, is a gecko that's really cool when you see them. You bring them in, you start working with them, and you appreciate them far more than you can, even from the pictures.
They don't get scared.
They don't get scared. They're always out. Pretty cool animal.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
That sounds like a good, because sometimes with, a lot of the nocturnal reptiles, you lose some of the, the visual aspect of the hobby where you get to observe the animal and enjoy it that way because you can't, like, hold and walk and lay, with a lot of reptiles and stuff. So the biggest joy in owning most of them is, the visual aspect.
Absolutely. And I kind of feel that way with the gargoyles and the crested geckos. I love them to death. And we'll go in and we'll pull them out and hold and, take pictures. And it's really cool. I will. But these guys, again, are out all the time. So it's a very different behavior. You're absolutely right, Charles.
Well.
Yeah, and for the sake of showing, well, okay, it's not going to let me do it. Interesting. Whatever, dude. I don't know. Technical difficulties.
Sounds like it's actually more a little bit operated.
You know what? No, I don't want to hear it.
Let them have it, Gabe.
All right, that's it. No more pictures for now. We're just gonna talk, and then when we talk about something different that we need to see a picture of, we'll do that. So yeah, carter eye, really cool. And did you say where they're native to? I might have missed that because I was like too busy trying to do technical stuff.
Around the Middle East area.
Okay.
Saudi Arabia, again, very sand orientated, rocks sitting on top of boulders.
Yeah, I think Frank found them in Oman, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty cool. Very awesome.
I'm working with the really strange stuff, and scorpions are kind of strange, but they're becoming more and more popular in the hobby. I love the helmeted geckos, little teeny tiny gecko, another 3-inch gecko, a little bit more secretive, but when they're out, they're just little bulldogs. They're actually little snots because you go in to pick them up and they huff and puff and they make a great rah.
Yeah. Very vocal. Yeah.
Very vocal. A little bit of different requirements for them too. A little bit more UVB than you would expect from a nocturnal gecko.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got the cat.
Did you think that was his baby?
I thought he was getting into the baby. Oh, look at this.
That cat literally only tolerates him as a human being. There's no other human being.
Oh my god!
Really? Yeah.
evil.
Yeah, she gets pretty gnarly, that's for sure.
Is it because
She
you
can
feed
do
her
anything.
Taco Bell?
Huh?
Do you feed her Taco Bell? Is that why she only tolerates you?
No, me and her got into a fight when she was young, and now she like only listens to me.
Well, I mean, that's a good thing.
I can touch her, hold her, do whatever I want. She's cool. She comes to me like just then, like she'll seek me out. But anybody else, nah, not happening.
You're gonna eat your face off.
So what does she do, Nick? When you go over there, what does she do?
Well, you know, it's so weird. I just made that comment, and the last couple times I've been there, which has been like the last 2 weeks up until this week, she's been like more sociable, but she still like won't tolerate being touched by anybody but Charles.
Bro,
But
I don't even try, man.
But she's come out more. Like she's been like coming into the living room and like jumping up on the couch and just like, you know, doing her weird meow that she does, where she's just like,
Just like a helmeted.
yeah.
She sounds like a helmeted gecko. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. She's the helmeted gecko of cats.
Yeah.
Frank gets it.
Live with an evil cat as well. Yeah.
I don't have one of those, but I have one that he thinks it's like he's like my woman's man or something. Like I can't even get close to her around this cat, man. He thinks that's her, like that's his woman, and I'm just another dude in this house. Like,
yeah. Well, that's okay. I mean, literally every animal in my house gets more love than I do from my wife, so it's okay. Physical.
No, don't
like,
get
you know, like, hey, how you doing? You know, it's like the bird, the new dog, not the old dog because she just kind of exists, you know, on her own plane of existence. Both cats, and you know, the geckos are the only ones that don't get it, because I give them all my love. So there you go.
It just sounds like the Steve Martin movie, The Jerk. All I need are my geckos. That's all I need in life.
That's it. That's all I need. Just my geckos. If you're watching, my love, I love you so much. I really do.
Yeah, you tuned out about 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, if you hear this phone go ding, you know.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning into the Olympics. Now join us for the
backstroke
contention of the back pedal.
Yeah. World champion. Yeah, world champion of the back paddle or the backstroke. Yeah.
Nicholas has an astounding lead.
Yes. Yep.
Once this video posts,
this is what it is.
You edit that section.
Oh no, there is no editing. It's all live, baby. No editing.
Oh man.
Yep. I've said it. It's on record forever now.
Dang, bro.
Oh man, it's always a good time. He said this is becoming
a therapy session. I know, right?
I'm sorry.
What do you charge by the hour, Frank? And is your couch comfortable?
Those are the real questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys.
Yeah. So other species. Yeah, we're at hour 8 already. So quick, so fast. Other species that I put on there. Interesting one that's sort of not in the same realm, in my opinion, is the cat gecko. You work with those?
Dude, I was just thinking of those. I love those geckos.
I've been hearing a lot about cat geckos lately.
Cat geckos are really popular in the hobby right now. I love cat geckos. They're tricky for me. They're and I've had a couple of problems with cat geckos. I used to get them in, but realized that every single one that I would get in, and this is, going back 10, 15 years ago, every one that I would get in would be wild. So there's always a risk, and I wasn't really into medications at that time. So I would get them in, they would be fine, and eventually they would pass away. And most recently, I had a really nice group about 2 years ago come in, captive bred, and unfortunately, things happen, and I had a misting system fail, and I didn't notice it right away. We were doing some other things and everything was fine except for the cat geckos. They really need their humid environment, and to go a couple of weeks without getting misted was.
They do a lot of their drinking from misting, most likely, huh?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Gotcha.
they've been kind of tricky to me, but what's cool is in the hobby, people are understanding the requirements more and not just giving them this 12 by 12 by 18 enclosure. I'm going to keep 3 of them in there, and they're secretive animals, and they come together and then they split and they're done. So they like their seclusion, they like their darker areas, they like to be humid. There's some very specific requirements, and the good thing again is that the hobby is realizing that and coming together and breeding more successfully these cat geckos.
Yeah, they're definitely cool, man. Like,
yeah, they're interesting.
I'm glad you said that about the misting system, because I'm going to have a misting system failure tonight because I didn't go get RO water today.
You better turn it off, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah, turn it off so your pump doesn't burn up.
Yeah. Unplug it. Damn.
Yeah. But you can get some tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It just hit me like a ton of bricks when he said it. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Misting systems are great, but they're prone to having issues, and when they do, they can be catastrophic.
Yeah, my misting system is that bottle and a 5-gallon jug. There you go. That's all I need.
Yeah. I'm still on the old fashioned. I mean, I don't have a trigger thing. I have one similar to that, but you know what I mean. I have to mist them all individually, and they get misted when I'm, ready to mist them, which is on a regular basis. But it's a different schedule every single time because I can't keep my schedule straight. They might get their maintenance done at 2:00 in the afternoon, or they might get it done at 10:30 at night. And when it's 10:30 at night, it's an entire shit show because there's geckos everywhere. They're just like boing, 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 boing. From open and enclosure. They're like, it's time to go away. Yeah.
One of the things that I'm doing is I'm moving away from misting systems. So I have 3 systems going right now that run.
One up like 3 months ago.
Which one?
The one on the
keeping him honest, just like you said.
There you go. No, we didn't set up a misting system.
On that bank, as you go down the steps, right there. We just set that up like within the last 6 months.
No, that was like a year and a half ago.
No, it was not.
Time flies when you're having fun with me, right? There's got to be something good in there about me. So anyways, we're moving away from misting systems because it's just easier to manage and maintain. And this was a point driven home by, again, Joe Hupp. He doesn't have misting systems. He goes in and he manages every single tank one by one to make sure that everybody is getting the attention that they need.
There's something
it forces you to be a little more attentive.
There you go. And I think that it is going to take me longer. Absolutely. But that's okay, because if I get to the point, we lost a light. If we get to the point where, and here you go, if I can't manage a misting system and we have failures and I'm not on top of it and I'm not managing like I should, then I shouldn't be keeping those animals. And again, that's a point driven home by Joe, who says, if you don't have the resources, you shouldn't be keeping the animals. Now, one thing that will, helps us a lot is that we have 2 sinks downstairs, and we have garden hoses hooked up to both sinks. So we'll walk through with those, hoses that condense and fill up, and we'll mist with those hoses. So that works out really well.
That's exactly what I need for my monitor cages and my
dream.
That's what I'm gonna do when we move.
So we have probably about 600 or 700 enclosures, and we can mist the whole basement in 10, 15 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
If I keep you moving.
Yeah, that's you. Me, it takes me 3.5 hours.
Yeah, of course, because you got to look around, move the plants. Like, where's the gecko? Yeah.
That's how I feel with the isopods in this tank.
Yeah, I recently finally made my Chihuahua 18 by 18 by 24 enclosures fully bioactive, live plants, and there's just some fake plants in there as well, but just everything just is super crowded in there. And I never, unless it's nighttime and I happen to be sitting in there and they come out, I can't find them during the day. Like if I go in there and try to find them, they just disappear. And sometimes they're right in front of me, and it's just crazy. I think to myself, like, how can I not see this gecko?
Do you have cork bark?
I do, and that's why. Yeah, there's cork bark in there.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean they just look like lichen, like on a tree. Like they don't
Yes.
look like a lizard at all.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
same problem with my chameleon.
I don't know about underrated necessarily. They fall into this category, but have you worked with any leaf-tail species?
I did probably about a dozen years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I had, I think, 5 or 6 different species. Satanic. We had the Giganticus. Just a number of different species. And what we had done at that time was Nanette had a daycare room downstairs in half of the basement. And she retired from daycare, and I immediately annexed the whole basement to myself. And part of that was a bathroom that we had built in her daycare area. So this is probably about a 8x8 or something like that, 10x10, I don't know. So I put all the leaf tails in there and insulated and tried to make it as humid as I possibly could. And they did very, very well. Not many eggs. Eggs here or there, very sporadic. I really think that if you're going to do leaf tails, you can't be doing another room of leopard geckos and another room of crested geckos and another room of micro geckos. I think somebody that, if you're going to do leaf tails, you have to do leaf tails. You really have to focus on that group of animals. Really pay attention to them and manage them, more than you manage other animals.
Yeah, gotcha. That's cool. I know definitely one group that I want to talk about that I feel is definitely underappreciated by what I would say is a larger portion of the hobby. I'm sure there's a lot of niche people who do it, but that's the Coleonyx. I've recently, within the last year, been introduced to those. I got myself a pair of Coleonyx metratus, and they're probably some of the favorite geckos I have in my collection. Just they're really cool. Very, very cool. So, I mean, how many species are there exactly? Because I know there's a Texas, there's a Western, there's a Central American, which is the metratus, and then isn't there like some weird like Swatoski or something like that?
Yep.
I can't remember how to say the last name. Yeah, and then maybe another one.
So everybody knows about the, if you know the bandids, the Coleonyx metratus and the variegatus and brevis. Brevis is fairly, if you're looking for brevis, Coleonyx brevis, you can find them in the hobby. The other one that's really, really popular and probably my favorite is Elegance, which has the really cool stripe. When they're small, they're kind of a glowing red instead of the brown, pastel colors. So again, my favorite is Elegance. And then, you've got these 2 or 3 that you'll see once in a while in the hobby. Frank, again, Reptilian Diaries. If you want to see some great videos, that's the channel that when I get a notification that a new video is out from Reptilian
I'm watching
Diaries,
it immediately. I
right
drop
there.
everything. Yep.
Drop everything.
Yep.
Seeing animals in the wild and how they behave and how, the environment, how they incorporate themselves into the environment is so valuable. So he's done some great videos on the Coleonyx, and you'll see them pop up here and there, but not that often. And the cool thing is also that, like for variegatus, you get a lot of different regions. So some can be a little bit more spotted, some can be a little bit more muted. So you have, this location and this location, kind of like you do for some fish or, South American fish, the killifish from Africa.
Cool.
Yeah, you have very specific, the plecos in the fish world, you have very specific locations where people are tracking exactly where these animals are coming from. Same thing with the Coleonyx.
Yeah. So, personal question. I mean, it'd probably be helpful for somebody on here, I would imagine, who's doing Coleonyx. When you're breeding metratus, because I know you have, egg incubation, temperature-wise, what are we doing for that?
I'm doing about 82. So
that's what I was thinking about doing, but I wasn't sure. About a leopard gecko, basically.
Yep.
Like you do a leopard. Yeah.
I do them exactly the same way with that I do my leopard.
Okay.
I do my leopard geckos on a clay-based material. Wet it
Right.
down, dump all the water out. It absorbs the water, and then make some indentations and put the eggs right on there.
Okay. Yeah, I've been a vermiculite guy forever, so I may do that if I do it. I've gotten, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 clutches out of mine over the last 6 or 7 months, but
Nice.
I haven't really done anything with them because up until this breeding season for my New Caledonian stuff, I was using the only incubator I have in the house, which is a little hovabator, to do my crested geckos and stuff because I wasn't really trusting of the environment in the house. So I had it set to like 74 degrees and it would stay there, within a half a degree or so. But now I'm doing shelf incubation, so that thing is free. So next time I get a clutch, I'll move it into there and hopefully hatch some nice little bandit geckos.
Yeah,
I love the hovabators.
They're really great. I mean,
yeah,
they're
on the last
bulletproof.
show, I start up my hovabators. I have 2 other incubators that I made myself, but I'll start up the hovabators just because they're so easy and
they're
really,
bulletproof.
they're
Man. I've literally had my hovabator plugged in and set to 74 degrees and running for like 2 years. I haven't unplugged it. It's pretty crazy to think about that, but it hasn't been unplugged, just runs. Basically, I'm just wasting electricity with it right now because it's not doing anything. But I'd rather leave it plugged in and let it go, and then I can just turn that little dial up and dial it into 82 when I'm ready, and I'll be good to go.
there you go.
Yeah. Oh, and we put it up on the screen, but we didn't actually mention it because we were in the middle of something. Hello, Andrew. Thanks for coming in, buddy.
how's it going?
Yep, he says hi to Wally. It's good seeing you guys in Tinley, I guess.
So I want to mention real quick the show that you did with Andrew and Sarah. You haven't seen a comment yet from me because I've watched about half of it over the
It's a
last
long one.
2 weeks. It's not
Yeah.
for the fact that it's so long. It's because I'll stop and I'll write something down.
It's so
Then
much
I'll
information.
re-listen
Yeah.
to it, and I just haven't gotten all the way through it.
They're
a wonderful, wonderful show.
they're a wealth of information. They really are. We were super honored to have them on, and they'll definitely be a repeat guest. I think. I mean, we've talked about it. They're down for coming on again at some point, so we'll have to figure out what we're going to talk about and get them on again for sure.
As much information
I'm
as
sure
Andrew
with
and Sarah
Andrew,
have.
we won't have an issue.
What's that?
Yeah, we won't have an issue of finding anything to talk about because Andrew, he's got the gift of gab, that one for sure.
Oh,
he can go and go. Yeah, he loves to talk, and we love to listen. So,
As knowledgeable as those two are, Andrew and Sarah, and as much as they've done in the hobby, you would think that they were, like as old as me, but they're, I think,
Right.
22, 23 years old, something like that.
they're that young? Wow.
No, they're
I was
not.
thinking
I don't think they're that
Okay,
young.
I was thinking they might be just a tad older, but not like old. Yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not old like us.
Not old like me.
Oh, man.
But yeah,
Nah.
definitely,
I
But,
wish I was.
you guys are.
definitely.
You guys are.
with
You guys
this.
are. You're still young at heart. You guys are
There
going.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Young at mind.
Rolling. You're doing more stuff in a day in your reptile room than some of these young kids probably are. I guarantee you that.
I
Dude,
get
these
up
are
in the
more
morning and
on social media than I'm doing. I can barely send an email, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I know. You can't send a text message. That's not possible. That doesn't happen.
So Dave, you mentioned that.
I'm the only person that could screw up talk texting, man. I'll tell you what, man.
You mentioned that, but if you noticed, I was kind of late coming to the show. That's because I tested my mic early this morning, and I used it on a couple of things. And then 15 minutes before the show, I set everything up, and I look at my mic, and it's red. Instead of being white on, it's red. So for 10 minutes, the stress level went from a 1 to a 99.9 because I'm trying to get this mic working. And I finally bailed and grabbed my 1995 mic out of the
There
closet.
you go. It's working great.
It's working.
Earlier.
Yeah, this is.
Sometimes,
I just unplugged mine because I was like, they were before we started. They were like, your voice keeps going up and down, up and down, up and down. I was like, all right, let's just do AirPods. Let's
There
cut
you
it.
go.
Do AirPods.
I'm
I'm just
So
happy
my
that this
challenge
is working.
technology.
I'm just happy that this is working because I'm on hotel Wi-Fi. So
Yeah.
let's keep it going.
Hey, man. We've had good luck. What is it? Andrew, they did their episode in a hotel too on hotel Wi-Fi.
They were in a B&B, which was probably had better Wi-Fi than any
right.
hotel, because hotels don't care; they just offer the Wi-Fi as like a perk. Oh yeah, you get Wi-Fi, but it barely qualifies as Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Didn't you do a live talk or an interview with Joe Huff and have his electric go out or something in the middle of it?
Did an interview with my interview with Joe Hop. We were probably 2 hours
Oh
into
yeah.
it. Yeah, and it just everything froze. And I was recording it instead of going live because I wanted to make sure I could edit it. So, right away he calls me up and say, yeah, electricity failed. And I said, whenever you're available, if you want to finish this off. Yeah, absolutely. So the next day we get together and another 2 hours of Joe's time, which I know is, so valuable. Anyways, so now I have, and I probably mentioned this too, but I had I think it was over 4.5 hours of interview with Joe that I had to try to cut down to about an hour. So I've mentioned it before. I took out all the bad stuff, which was just pretty much me talking, and left all of Joe talking in there. And that got it back down to an hour.
I know you said I've heard you talk about that interview and how it's like your archive. You go back to it and you learn something new almost every time you listen to it.
Every time.
I've started recently listening, and I mentioned this because you were on there. I just discovered Bill Bradley's Lizard Brain Radio just the other day. I didn't even know it existed. It just got recommended to me on Apple Podcasts, and it's great. I listened to the Joe Hub episode. Well, I'm sorry I didn't tell you yet. I'm telling you right now.
Bro.
It's called Lizard Brain Radio. I think he's been picked up with the Herpetoculture Network, so you can probably find it through that if you're already following that. He's had you on, Wally, which was a great episode. I just listened to it while I was doing geckos the other day. Joe Hupp, I listened to that in the car when we were driving the other day. That was a great episode. He's had some cool people on for sure.
On YouTube, it's called Cole. COAL.
Cole Black Exotics, yeah.
Black Exotics.
Yeah, that's the name of him and his wife's company. They do the educational shows and stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Andrew has a good point. I don't know if you showed it on the screen or not.
Yeah, it came up and we were talking again, so let's definitely do that. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, Coleonyx reticulatus. I haven't heard of that one. I don't think that was one that we mentioned, was it? I know I said something about Swataki only because I saw it on one of Frank's videos.
Yep.
I've
not seen reticulatus in the hobby, but if Andrew has, that's cool. Andrew, send them to me. Get some babies and send me some babies.
Right? Yeah.
Dude, come on.
Let me see here if I can find a Coleonyx reticulatus.
Oh, here we go.
Does this mean 1 hour later?
Yeah, like the SpongeBob.
1 hour later.
That was good. That was really good.
Yeah. What's the?
I can do that's the only thing I can do well is just
No, you do. What's the guy from South Park, Nick?
All of them.
Which guy from South Park? Yeah, which one?
You do one of them very well. I forget. What
the character on that show.
Dude, I don't watch that. You guys do.
We're talking about. We talk about Mr. Man.
Kenny?
Is that what we're talking about?
Is it Kenny?
Hang on. Let's screen share. I think it's gonna work. Screen share.
Yes.
Window. All right. So there is reticulatus, according to this website that I just kind of found. I just did a search. Andrew. If it's wrong, please tell me. But I think it's right. And this one was in West Texas. Interesting. Very cool. That's a cool looking species for sure. It's like our own little miniature. They're like our own little miniature leopard geckos that we can find here in the U.S., which is interesting.
They are.
And I'm not. I haven't stopped sharing my screen.
Oh, yeah.
I listened to a podcast yesterday, and they were talking. It was a European broadcast, and they were talking about bandits, and they were just, nuts about the bandits, which I should be.
I mean, it's just like us with stuff in other countries. Everybody who lives in a place that, in another place, they're obsessed with the stuff that's in the U.S. maybe, or you know, in another country, just like we're like, oh man, I got to get to Australia, I got to get to South America, you know.
I've got to get some knobtails. I've got some knobtails in the wild.
Oh man, yeah. That's
Man,
another one that Frank found on his video, which is just mind blowing.
Oh.
And I mean, I know knobtails are super popular, so they don't really fall into, I think, the underrated category in my opinion. But
No.
are they? How hard are they to keep? I know you keep a few knobtails.
I'm keeping. What am I keeping now? I'm keeping Wheelerite, the first Wheelerite, and Levis, and Mealii.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of knobtails. Obviously, I think like anything else in the last 5, 6, 7 years, their popularity is gaining because people are starting to breed them. 10 years ago, you would see little pockets. Somebody would really have a lot of success with it, with the knobtails, and then they would get out of the hobby. And then the knobtails were gone for a couple of years. Now there's more and more pockets forming, and some great breeders out there that are doing very, very well with them. So some of the, the Wheelerite, the first Wheelerite, the Mealii, are fairly straightforward to keep and to breed. So you'll see them all the time. Levis, another one that a couple more requirements, but then you get into the Aspers and some of the really crazy ones that have a little bit more, requirements, and
Gotcha.
You'll see them less and less.
Yeah, cool.
Back to the animals in their natural habitats and everything. I always had an infatuation with big snakes. That it got worse when we met Gabe many moon ago, and I've always wanted to go see like Burms or something in the natural habitat, like Burmese pythons.
Florida, bro. You can see them.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a trip to Florida in my future. I get to see everything.
So have you thought about that seriously? A trip to Florida to go out in the...
No, well,
I mean,
yes, I think about going to Florida a lot. But after we did our episode with Frank, I just, for shits and giggles, looked up a plane ticket to South Africa for like 13 or 14 months out. It was like $2,500, and that's just for one.
yeah, that's a good. Is that round trip?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, in his talk that he gave at the Gecko Symposium a couple of years ago, he singled out the New Caledonian people, and he was like, some of you guys are going to spend $3,000 or $4,000 on a Chihuahua this weekend. That's a plane ticket to New Caledonia.
There you go.
Yeah, definitely.
There you go.
Yeah.
If I had plans to spend $2,500 recently, I'd have been like, okay, yeah, that's a plane ticket to South Africa. But I haven't.
One of these days, guys, we're going to all get together and we're going to go somewhere cool. But I can tell you,
Let's go to Puerto Rico. I speak Spanish. We're good. They got some beautiful stuff there.
Or Costa Rica, because
I got
Spanish is
family
heavily
there.
spoken in Costa Rica too. Yeah. Costa Rica also. You could come be our translator for that, because
I'd love
to go to Costa Rica.
Yeah. But talking about Andrew, when I was speaking with him before we had our episode, he was talking about going down to Florida and finding Burms, and it's not as straightforward as you would think. And I can speak, a little bit to that. I've been up and down the main park road in the Everglades many times, and I've yet to see one. But I guess you just got to know where to look. Basically, is what it is when you're looking for a berm down there.
Lynette said that she's not going to go with you on that trip.
A friend of ours.
Funny enough, I actually took my mother on one of those. I went down to visit her, and she lives in West Palm. So I was like, let's jump in the car and go down to the Everglades tonight. And she was like, okay. And so
She's cool, though.
Yeah, my mom's chill. She was like, let's go. So I was like, we drove down, went on the main park road, drove all the way down to Flamingo, saw some crocodiles, got back on the main park road, and we're driving back. Didn't see hardly anything. And on the way back, I saw a snake, and I was like, pulled over and stopped in the grass. And I ran out.
If you think about it, did you really think you were going to see some cool shit on Main Park Road? I mean, how many?
There's a lot of cool shit to see on the Main Park Road, actually, in some days. And I know that there's other side roads and stuff in there that guys go on. I just don't know about them.
I've never walked to my tree stand and had a deer sitting underneath of it. That's all I'm saying.
It's a road that people drive on, but it's very well herped, and it's actually there's actually quite an interesting amount of stuff you can see on there on a given night. If it's a good night,
right night,
if it's good, yeah.
Everyone
But the
knows
snake
when
that
on a berm in Florida, you got to go to a neighborhood.
yeah, the snake that I saw ended up being a cottonmouth. So I I yelled to my mom. I'm like, I need my hook if I'm going to do anything with this snake. And she's like, what? I'm like, I need my hook. So I ran back to the car, grabbed my hook, and I'm like, just kind of manipulating this cottonmouth so that I can get it to where I can take some pictures of it. And I took a couple pictures of it, and it was cool. It was fun.
You should have just grabbed it, bro. Number one, you went all the way to Florida
cool.
to see a cottonmouth. We have those here in Newport News.
Okay, look, I didn't go there to see a cottonmouth. That is just what I saw.
It's just cytotoxic venom, bro. You're good. Unless you have an allergic reaction, it's not going to kill you. You're good.
Yeah,
it's like a bee sting.
That's not the message that I want to put out on here. Yeah, see, look here. Oh, he says it's actually good for berms. I have yet to see one, but yeah, we've seen a few down there. Both not on that road personally, though. But he's heard that it's good for berms, I guess, Andrew. So thank you. The main park road is actually pretty good. The last time I was down there, not the last time, time before, we saw a scarlet snake, which is pretty darn cool. It was actually alive, not ran over.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of baby corns, which I know doesn't sound cool, but I love corn snakes. They were all in the trees down at Flamingo. There was like 20 of them just moving around in the trees. We got an Everglades rat snake. That's pretty cool. I mean, we were in the Everglades, but it was an Everglades rat snake nonetheless.
A friend of ours, Aaron Mathis, he caught a 16-foot berm out there.
Wow.
And she was full of eggs, man.
Wow.
That's pretty crazy.
Eggs. She laid like 50-something eggs.
Oh
He took her home. She laid like 50-something eggs.
No.
Jeez.
He said no.
That would be a major change in direction, Wally, to go to Burmese pythons.
That would be big time.
Wally at home.
Yeah, that would be high solo on that one.
Gone.
And
yeah, we'd be having Wally on the podcast from his phone and his cardboard box out.
Living in a van down by the river.
We'll just sing the out of the box song.
Yeah. Oh my God, Gabe!
You could always get a shed, Wally.
I love it.
A he shed.
Yeah, he shed. There you go. He shed, she shed. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, well, we've been going for an hour and a half. I know we did 2 last time, but yeah, a little over an hour and a half now.
Pineapple juice. No,
is there pineapple juice?
That's my safe word, man. Come on.
That's your safe word. That's my gamer tag. That's my gamer tag on Call of Duty.
Really?
Pineapple juice, yeah. Yeah. But whatever. Let's think about if there's anything else specific. Anybody got any other specific geckos we want to ask Wally about before we?
Not really, man. Look, I just want to know, like, Wally, anything other than geckos that you really want to mess with right now, man? Like that you're looking. Obviously, we know no snakes.
And that's like
not anything you want to keep, just shit you want to mess with a little bit.
Yeah, mess with it now.
Yeah.
I would love to work eventually with dart frogs. I would love to work with tarantulas. I would love to get involved with tarantulas. I know I would never do the tarantulas because I couldn't have one get out and be responsible enough to be able to capture it and put it back in the tank. The hairs on the arm are going crazy right now. But I think that they're fascinating animals. I'd love to keep dart frogs, but I know, something that resonates over and over and over again in my mind, again, is from Joe. And that's, do what you can do and nothing more. If you don't have the resources, you don't have the resources, and stop kidding yourself that you do. And resources isn't just, money or tanks or space.
Time.
It's time. It's time. If you don't have the time, if you have some animals that you feel you're not paying enough attention to, then don't get more animals. So
I tell you what,
over and over again.
That's a good example. That's exactly why Mr. Nick got one of my geckos, because the way I see it is You know, if I know, I don't know why I said that, but you know,
Mr.
not
Nick.
real classy or something. But you know, he got one of my geckos, and it's like I was telling him.
No idea. I'm just going with the flow here.
Mr. Nick.
Mr. Nick.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do you know the answer, Wally?
Is it 43?
I'm sorry. It's 42.
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't let that go. I'm sorry.
But you know, like
You said it,
I
and it
told
caught
him,
me so off guard.
I just, you know,
Mr. Dan.
I like to look at the animals, and I feel like if I'm not spending time and sitting there staring at this animal and like handling it and stuff like that, I don't need to have it because I don't want animals to get mistreated, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I've downsized on a couple things just because of that. Because
You know, and on a quick note of, you know, talking about responsibility, I've noticed, you know, myself slacking off a little bit. Nothing's like malnourished or, you know, anything dangerous, but I mean, I used to every day come home on my lunch break and just go sit in the chameleon room and just stare at them and be with them and everything. But now with the baby and everything going
Hashtag
on,
dad life, bro. Yeah.
yeah, and then the two works, and you know, between the dealership and the private garage, it's just like I don't
Dude,
get
it
the
gets
time to
better.
go there and spend and enjoy them. So it's like I feel bad because obviously, like I love them, but
Dude.
I feel what you mean by, you know, if you don't really have the time 100%, then don't get
It
more.
gets better, man.
Yep.
Wait till your daughter goes
Absolutely.
like, "Daddy, snakes," like mine does. She wants to go in there and see the snakes or the lizards. Like, just wait, bro.
Well, if you
That's
don't take care of that, then I will. I'll be, you know, Uncle Nick, not Mr. Nick, but Uncle Nick coming in and and getting her interested in reptiles. But I'm sure you'll take care of that. So.
Yeah. I don't think she'll have a choice, bro.
Nope, she doesn't have a choice on it. She's
I'll
gonna be
trade you a
interested.
veiled chameleon for a blood python. Anyway,
For
What?
a blood python?
yeah.
Does Caitlin want to get rid of the veiled chameleon?
Well, she didn't have to know about it until you just, you know, made it a point. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't want to get rid of them. I don't want to get rid of them, and I love them so much. I know. You don't even have a blood python, so.
Yeah, man.
Okay, just
I'm
get a
going to
blood
a chat
python.
right now, and I'm going to mention that to her. So he wants to get rid of the veil chameleon. Are you okay with
As
that?
I recall, it was Caitlin's idea first to get a chameleon, and then when you finally got a chameleon through an acquaintance of Caitlin, you became addicted. It is now yours.
Yep.
And then you met Bill
Exactly
Strand, and that was
the
it.
progression of events.
Yep.
But Charles, you have, you know, such a huge change in your life. I'm not saying that's good, bad. It's in my mind, it's good. But your interests, everything's going to change in your life because of that. And again, a lot of that's good. Maybe some of it's bad. I don't know. But as you regulate this, you know, it ebbs and flows your time. As it kind of, you know, settles down a little bit, maybe then you get back into this more and you enjoy that more. But right now, you know, it's natural for this to happen.
Definitely.
I think.
And I was thinking more about it here recently because I was thinking to myself about what I just said to you guys. And I do, obviously, I want the world, man. I want everything. Every cool thing I see, I'm like, I want it. But that's not the responsible decision to make. But I do think going forward, maybe over the next couple years, if I do get anything new, because I can't help myself, so I'll probably get at least one or two things. I might stick with snakes because they do take a lot less time than something like McCrusty or the chameleons. The chameleons are a day in, day out. I have to at least put eyes on them and make sure. But the ball python, he's chilling. He's good. Give him water every couple of days. Make sure he's got fresh water. Spray him every other day. There's really not much to it, you know. Yeah, obviously food once a week, once every other week.
You know, that's the great thing about reptiles, bro. There's a lot of species out there that you almost don't have to do much.
Well, I'll tell you,
you set them up, and they do the hard work for you, man. Really, as long as you set them up.
And some of them, yeah, for sure.
Like,
when you revisit the idea, we'll just get you in love with corn snakes. so that you can do the Gecko Galaxy Virginia chapter corn snakes, since I cannot do them here.
Yeah, no, I'm still down for that, man. I love the corns. They got some really great colors and everything to them. So, but I'm stuck right now between another python or a boa. But I think I got to get back into my boas.
Right, do it.
Charles, do you like the big snakes, the really big snakes?
Mm-hmm.
So corn snakes probably wouldn't work. Hognose?
Yeah.
How about hognose?
Even smaller.
Yeah.
They're cool. I mean, that's one thing I will get back into.
I do like hogs. I'd rather have corns, to be honest with you. I would definitely rather have corns.
I love I got yellow rats. I love the rat snakes.
They're very cool.
No.
Yellow rats.
She said no.
Yeah.
Don't even think about it.
So I'm going to relate a really funny. So I used to vend right across the aisle from a big snake breeder, and he's since gotten a little bit out of the hobby because of health and everything, but really, really good friends. I learned so much from this guy. But we used to kind of challenge each other. He's keeping snakes, I'm keeping geckos. So every show, at some point, he'd have to walk over to my table and look at my geckos and go, "Still feeding them every other day, aren't you, Wally?" Yes, I am. So great relationship and everything. But he tells us the funniest reptile story I've ever heard, and I'll never, ever be able to do it justice. But he sold a corn snake to a lady, and a couple weeks later, 3 weeks later, he's getting these messages: not eating, not eating, not eating. So Jim is going through all this, details. Are you keeping the temperature? What are you keeping it on? And just over and over, and nothing. 2 months now. 2 months, and the snake still isn't eating. Oh my gosh. And finally it got around to, because he had gone over all this information right from the beginning, obviously, never even considered revisiting the food aspect, but he finally asked, "So it's not eating its food?" And she said, "No, it's like every week I'll take a can of corn and dump in its enclosure, and it's not eating."
I knew it was something.
Are you kidding me?
I knew it was something. I knew it was gonna be something.
And the way he tells it, I was crying just imagining her doing
I'm gonna cry.
I'm in the middle, because on one hand, I hope that's a real story, because
It is.
holy shit.
I believe Jim 110%. This is real.
Oh man.
Oh, snap.
Can corn?
Oh my god.
Can
It's a corn snake.
Oh yeah. I mean, stands to reason, right? That maybe she should have tried cream corn instead of just regular.
Maybe more sugar. Maybe squirt some sugar in there.
Yeah,
I like sugar in my corn.
Honestly, I thought me and Gabe had probably heard it all or most of it because of.
it has to be cream corn.
It has to be cream corn, says Andrew. Yeah, because of working in the pet store, we've heard some whoppers, but that takes the cake for snake
That's
stuff.
great.
So Andrew knows exactly who I'm talking about.
I tell you
too.
what, though, you catch some carp that way.
Oh, with corn, yeah, you can catch carp with corn for sure. Yeah.
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 I've never seen
Andrew
a
knows
corn
exactly
carp.
who I'm talking about.
Huh?
The corn carp.
A corn carp.
Corn carp.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh boy,
Man,
oh man.
Maybe we need to get together on an episode where we just tell those stories, because I could listen to that shit all night.
Oh, crazy reptile story
Oh
episode.
my god, yeah.
I have an
crazy things that
Excel
people say.
spreadsheet of those stories.
No, you
that I
do.
bring out.
I know you do.
Yeah, in the store where me and Gabe worked, we had the ID10T log. If you think about that, yeah, it was where we put our best stories.
Yes. Yes, dude, I forgot about that.
I forgot about the ID10T log. Yeah, yeah. One of my favorites was a lady. I was feeding snakes at the time, and she came in and she was like, "I have a question," and I was like, "All right, and she's like, "I bought a snake here, and I come in here and I bought a frozen pinky to eat." I was like, "Okay, yep, that sounds right." She goes, I put the pinky in the cage under the heat lamp, and it thawed out, and it did not come back to life. Like, it didn't start moving around. I was like, I was like, whoa, because I was pretty bored up until that point. I was just like, feeding snakes. I was like, hold up a minute. I was like, say what? And she was like, it didn't come back to life. I was like,
It wasn't in cryo sleep.
I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I was like, have you seen this store? Do you think we have the technology to freeze things and then bring them back to life? What do you think? I got the cryogenic setup in the back? No. They're put in a bag, they're put in a freezer, they pass away, and then that's the end of that.
Well,
they passed away before the freezer, but yes.
You should have sold the little mouse defibrillator.
Yeah, I know. I forgot the defibrillator. Yeah, I didn't.
You keep a little Tykes med kit.
Yeah, I was like, well, actually, you skipped part of the reanimation process. It's not just about heat; you also have to have electricity. So,
yeah, it's alive.
Little Frankenstein,
Frankenpinky. Oh my god.
Oh man. Oh, I love it. Oh man,
well done, sir. Well done.
I'm over here sweating, man.
I know. The corn one though, I can't believe that. Like
every week, she puts a can of corn in there.
It's too funny not to laugh at. Yeah, just dumps it in there. There's like, it's like a 20-gallon enclosure, and the entire half of it is just corn, like all the way to the top.
Just pile on.
She doesn't take it out, when it doesn't eat it. She just keeps pouring more corn on top of it.
It just goes to the farmer's market and puts a whole freaking cob in there, like
just
a whole
put an ear of corn in there. Snake's like, it just eats the corn.
Oh my goodness! But yeah, I think it's safe to say we've strayed.
Yeah, we've strayed, and we may have descended into complete and utter madness.
I know, man.
That's why I love doing this show. You guys are great.
It's so
well, thanks. We love
thank
having
you. Thank you for coming back, guys. We really
thank you so much.
It's always a hell of a time. And if you want to come back next week and co-host, come on. You can have Gabe.
You can have my spot.
You can Gabe spot.
Maybe the week after that.
Yeah, I'm just fucking with you.
We'll see if Gabe moves out to the boonies and doesn't have internet. We might have to.
We actually might have to get with you.
This is gonna be a nightmare, bro. Actually, I'm excited though. I'm excited.
What the fuck is this lady? Jesus, I need some corn.
So Andrew, can you hear? And Andrew knows who this is, Jim Sufflug. Can you hear him telling that story, that whole story, and just shaking his head? My goodness, the way he would say that story is just classic.
Hysterical.
Hysterical.
Yeah, because you're listening to it and you're like, man, what's wrong? Like corns usually eat.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
what's going on?
about 3/4 of the way through the story, I was like, "This is fucking. What is she giving?"
Something's got it. Yeah.
I never would have thought corn, but I was thinking like,
Definitely.
oh man,
Oh my god, hilarious! Absolutely hilarious.
Well, I've had a
Definitely
blast,
Jim
guys.
story, he says.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's definitely.
thank you very much,
let's wrap it.
Nanette and Wally. It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
It was a
All
pleasure.
right, my carpet python's out, and this is like one of the only times I get to see this snake. It's always hiding,
Time to go.
and like I just had to take a second. Sorry.
We're all ADD tonight. We're like,
You're just like
what's
moving
going on over there?
So I got like tons of energy, man. Like
Yeah, thanks, Andrew.
So, what time is it? It's time to feed your carpet python some carpet.
I was going to say it, but I didn't want to perpetuate the
You
madness.
were thinking it.
the only issue
But look, you got to make
you
sure.
only eat shag carpet. And
That's
I'm
it.
having
Yeah, I was gonna say.
finding it.
I was gonna say, and occasionally you can treat him with some Berber, and you'll be all right. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man, a corn snake eating corn. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well,
It's been a blast, and we gotta close it up, guys. It's
Yeah,
so
for
much
sure.
fun. I don't want to, but we got to, because I might literally pass out.
Well, you have the 2 o'clock shift, right? 2 a.m. to 4 a.m.
Probably.
That sounds about right.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm just lucky I don't have to work tomorrow, so it's going to be a good night.
Nice.
But, thank you
Dude,
guys
my mother-in-law
for coming out tonight, and here we are, same as every week, except for last week because we didn't do last week. Remember, we're hanging out
Every
again.
week except last week.
Thank you, big thank you to Wally and Nanette for hanging out with us. I'm hanging out.
Check out the links in the
Dave's hanging out,
description.
Wally's hanging out. Nanette's hanging out. Please like and follow and subscribe and all the other great stuff. Make sure you go check out Supreme Gecko, Supreme Isopod.
Isocad.
Come on, man.
Supreme Reptiles. Just
Yeah.
all.
It is the supreme of everything. Yes.
We're getting into Supreme Corn Snakes next,
No,
so
we're not.
follow us.
Supreme corns.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys are going to grow. You got to
Information.
grow your own corn, right? You guys are going to sell your own feeder corn, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Very
going to be
good.
snakes.
Oh man, organic,
Supplies
all
of
organic.
corn.
That's
So,
what I'm talking about, Wally.
now that I've said hangouts like 75 times, thank you guys for hanging out with us
Thank you.
on Reptile Hangouts. Good night, Nanette, Wally, and everybody else. Have a wonderful night. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Good night, all. Have a good
Good
weekend.
night.
Hey, guys.
Thank you so
See you
much.
guys next week, most likely.